Hello, my name is Meg. I'm 26 and I like books. That's my intro today. For those of you who are regulars around here, you might have realised that this is not my flat. We are now renting a house, and in doing so, my little sister Maisie has moved in with me, which has meant the bookshelf has grown and has now been colour ordered because this was her idea. I don't know how I feel about it yet because all my series and things by the same authors are just split up, and it's really doing my head in, but we're gonna go with it for now because it's pretty and it makes a nice set. So to celebrate the fact that my sister has moved in with me, I decided to pick 3 books off of her bookshelf that I would read for the week. Now, a thing you might want to know about my sister is she loves reading physical books, but once she's read them, she sells them on. So none of the things that I actually am reading, she's read yet. Nevertheless, I have 3 books here. I've turned them this way so you can't see them. I'm going to introduce them to you individually because I'm like that. First off, we have My Sister the Serial Killer by Oyinkan Braithwaite. And this is a story about a woman whose sister has a habit of murdering her boyfriends. And this is all well and good, and she cleans up the messes until it's someone she's been in love with for quite a long time. So I'm very excited to read this one. We've got a bit of a sisters theme going on for a lot of these, and at least family for like all of them. That's like the thread that runs through all of this. Second up, we have Yolk by Mary H.K. Choi, which is actually about 2 sisters moving in together. These are a little more estranged than me and Maisie. A story about 2 sisters moving in together, one of whom has had a life-threatening diagnosis. So we'll see how heartbreaking this one ends up being. Hopefully not too much, because I don't think I can take it right now. And finally, I have got Yinka, Where Is Your Husband by Lizzie, Damilola, Blackburn. And this is a pretty new release, and it caught my eye the second I saw it, because it's such a pretty little cover. But this is about a 30-something Oxford graduate who is feeling the societal pressure to get married, and so goes on a quest to find a date to her cousin's wedding. I think I'm in the mood to start this one first. Just think it's going to be super fun, a little bit more lighthearted than the other 2. So we're going to start strong. Okay, finally done with my work day, and I'm gonna go read in the garden. Yes, there's a free garden. I'm so excited. So 1 chapter in and we are already introduced to Yinka's whole family, and everyone is basically on the same lines in that she's wasting her life, which is really interesting because I'm already getting that pressure as a 26-year-old. So I'm hoping to relate to this one a lot, and yeah, I'm very excited to see where it goes. I just love it when my video files corrupt. It's real great. And not just one of them, just like a whole day's worth. It's trash. It's the worst. So in the last clip you saw, I just started Yinka. Now I have finished it. It was great. It was fantastic. Lovely little 4-star. You need to see these boys. What's he doing? Okay, back to the book. I felt like all the characters had like a good level of like dimension to them, and they weren't just there just to support the story, which was really nice. Yes, they were upholding certain ideals from a tradition, and some of them were just doing it because it was the tradition, but some of them had like really good reasoning too, which added a bit more depth and made you feel a lot warmer towards those characters regardless of how opposite their opinions were to our protagonist. Yinka herself did feel a little bit one-dimensional, but I feel like that was kind of the point, if that makes sense, because in this story she's kind of going about changing herself. I mean, she doesn't necessarily always realise she's actually changing herself, but that's what is happening. So I feel like in a way when you change yourself you kind of do end up being kind of one-dimensional, so it worked. So overall, I really loved Yinka, Where Is Your Husband? I need to say the full name rather than just calling it Yinka the entire time. And I read it on the beach, which was really lovely, and I wish I had the clips for it, but they got corrupted. I'm about 75 pages into Yolk now, and I'm not getting into it like I was hoping to. Like, the stakes have already been sort of set up. We're seeing Jane and June, their contrast and all that sort of stuff, but I've not yet found a reason to keep reading, Whereas with Yinka, I was kind of in it by like page 30. And I don't know why it's taken me so long with this one. I think it might be short chapters. You know me and short chapters, I don't get on with books that have like super short chapters. I like a 10-page chapter. I feel like that's a solid thing. And I can get behind longer chapters as well. But these short chapters, man, I feel like I'm finished. I feel like I'm breezing through a book and then I realise I'm on page 10. I'm going to give this book the benefit of the doubt and I'm going to carry on reading it though. So, wish me luck. I have not caught you up in a good few days. Like, it's been so long that I finished those books like a good couple days ago. All of them. So I'm going to give you the full rundown when I am back from work. It's clearly not the same day. I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah, life gets busy. Especially on work days. I feel like I don't ever get a chance to sit down with just me. Unless everybody's out. Which doesn't happen very often. So, here I am. A few days later, when I'm working from home. So let's summarise them all, because it's been a while and I've had time for my thoughts. So I think Yinka, Where Is Your Husband is probably one of the better romance books I've read this year. And I know it's not strictly about romance in the sense of like there's no smut, there's none of that. But I felt like everything felt so rounded that it didn't need it. Maybe I'm just miscategorizing this book, but I feel like it was a romance without the romance. And it still did a better job than some of the romances I've read this year. It deals with themes like balancing your family beliefs with your own, immigration and the different beliefs that come from that, cultural beliefs in terms of dating it also handles, and I think it does so really well. Handles religion, handles career moves, and being a woman in a professional setting as well. I feel like it kind of does a good job of representing that as well. I feel like we followed Yinka, who is a really strong character, through one of the more difficult times in her life, and you could see that kind of everyone has a bad day, you know? It felt believable that she was having a lapse in her usual personality, because everyone has moments like that. I know I have. But it didn't make her less strong of a character, it didn't make her less professional, less any of that. It just felt like a lapse in her personality as opposed to like changing completely. So I really liked it, and I think it does a good job of reminding people that you can have a bad day and you can come out of it at the end and you can be stronger. And I don't think all novels do that, you know? Even ones that are specifically about change, I feel like they don't all do that. Yolk took me a while to get into, but when I did, when it really felt like there was a strength in the writing was when you were dealing with things that weren't the plot, funnily enough. I felt like the most interesting parts of it were the way June interacted with people in general and interacted with the world around her. Like, it really is the mundanity that sells this one, which is probably why I gave it 4 stars. And I think one of the biggest parts of this that I really loved was when June, our protagonist, realised that she wasn't the only one that was suffering. Because for a long time it had felt like because she didn't see anybody actively suffering, they weren't suffering. And really anyone could have perceived that about her as well. And it becomes important. Like, there are characters in this that she sees, doesn't realise what's going on in their lives, you know? And it's kind of the whole theme of the whole book if you think about it, because she also thinks that her sister's really got it all together. And there's her sister dying of cancer, you know? I mean, she doesn't die in the book, spoilers, but so yeah, it's kind of like a fable of like, don't judge a book by its cover. We're all going through shit. And then this one, I had so many high hopes for this one, and I felt like it started off so strong. I read it in like a day, for one, and I really liked where it was going, and it was really in the last 20 pages that I was like, Why'd you do that? Why did you do that? Like this unwavering loyalty to someone who's hurt you as opposed to somebody that's given you nothing but love. But the expectations of you doing that because they're family. Like if you've read this, you'll understand. I'm fiercely loyal, but I feel like I would still do what happened in this book, and I think that's what makes me mad about it. I don't know. I'm not saying my sister Maisie is a serial killer, because she's not. She is very much not. She's very right in the brain. Don't worry. And neither's my other sister. Molly, if you're watching this too, I don't think you're a serial killer either. Probably the least likely to murder someone out of the three of us. Not that any of us were really in that boat. But yeah, besides the plot, I really like the way this dealt with being a woman in Nigeria, and also like the way some systems are sort of corrupt in Nigeria. So that was a really interesting part of it. That's why I didn't like hate it. I felt like the writing was strong and the themes, other than the whole plot, was kind of good. But yeah, that was my reading for the week. I don't know what this says about Maisie's book buying tastes. Considering the fact she hadn't got round to them, it probably doesn't say much. Because she's probably had quite a few of these on her shelf for a while. I think maybe I've ended up vetting some of these books on her behalf. She will probably read Yolk, maybe, and she'll probably read Yinka, but I don't think she's gonna read my sister's serial killer personally. Not because of what I've said, but also, I don't know, something about it makes me think that now I've read it and told her how I feel, she's just gonna walk straight by it. But it would be interesting to do another one of these sort of reading vlogs with some of her favourites. She loves a lot of Taylor Jenkins reads, so I'm gonna have to prepare myself a little bit, because that whole side of fiction, that whole TikTok-y kind of area of things is still a little bit out of my reach. So yeah, it might be a while before I do that. But it was definitely fun looking and stealing books off of my sister's bookshelf. But I will be back to mine next time you see me. But anyway, thank you for sticking around. Thank you for being you. And I will see you in the next video.